All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode 3 of Married Divorced Dads. I'm your host, King Midas, aka Matt Walker, and we are here tonight to have a conversation with the fellows who are a part of a very specific club in this podcast. We are talking to the divorced men today. Um, this is going to be the time where the brothers get to have some real conversation about what happens when you go through the process. We're going to talk about somewhat about the relationships. We're going to talk about dealing with the children in these aspects and just everything that is involved with having a divorce. And then we're going to talk about, hey, our brother's interested in maybe getting married again. And we'll see where everybody is with that. So it's definitely going to be one for the books. So make sure that you get comfortable, sit down, and definitely take a listen. So with that, I'm going to have the brothers introduce themselves individually. They're going to let us know how old they are, where they stay, what they do, how long they were married for, and their current relationship status. So with that being said, Brother Harvell, good to have you with us tonight. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, King, and thank you for the space. My name is Harvell
Yes,
Fuller.
sir.
I'm from Danville, Virginia. I've been in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area for approximately probably 10 years now. Outside of that, I was married for 9 going on 10 years prior to the divorce. I've been divorced now for, I would say, 3 years. Currently dating. Um, and that's about it.
All right. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Not it.
What happened?
Obviously, I'm a father of four.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Proud father of four. I
um,
can't forget that. I apologize.
Can't forget that. Absolutely. And shout out to you. Shout out to fatherhood as well. Will, please feel free to jump in.
You on mute, bro. You on mute, Will.
No, I can't hear Will.
He might not be able
Will,
to
we
hear
can't
us.
we can't hear you. Can you hear us?
Nah.
No, he can't hear us either. No, we can't hear you. Mm-mm.
So, Matt, if
Yeah.
um when we get everybody's audio straightened out, I
Mhm.
can do mine and then we can go straight to it. And I can
Okay,
tell you how to stitch
hold
everybody
on.
together,
Hold on a
from what I
second.
did
Okay.
before.
Okay.
How about now? No,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
good now?
Can hear
Yeah,
you
yeah,
now.
you
I'm
good.
good now.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you want to just keep going?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, bet. Yeah. All right, King. Appreciate you for having me, bro. My name is Will Harris. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. 43. Married now. I was married for 5 years. Divorced, and I just recently got remarried. It's been 1 year now. I'm a fitness professional. I've been in fitness for like 22 years. I own a boxing gym up here in Atlanta, and I have two kids. My son is 21, and my daughter is 8 years old. Both, well, my son from a relationship, previous relationship. My daughter is from my previous wife. So that's me in a nutshell.
Got you. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming
Hmm.
through.
Yeah, no doubt.
X. Go
Hey
ahead,
man,
jump
can y'all
in.
hear me? Just want to make sure we
Yep.
good. All
Yep, we
right.
good.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, King, for setting this up, man. Really looking forward to this conversation and glad to be in the space with the rest of you brothers. My name is Dexter Daniel. I'm 36 from New York. Still live in New York, Long Island specifically. Proud dad of a 7-year-old son named Elijah. Shout out to him. My background is in social work. I am a licensed master social worker in the state of New York. I do provide psychotherapy to individuals, couples, groups. I also do mental health coaching. And in addition to that, I do work in the New York City public school system as well. I was married. I was married for a total of 8 years up until the divorce was finalized in 2023. So I've been divorced now a little over 2 years now, and definitely open to taking that route again. I'm currently in a relationship. I'm really looking forward to pursuing marriage again with her, learning all the things or applying all the things that I've learned over the years, and just prepping myself the right way this time around. And looking forward to get some more gems from you guys too.
Hey, appreciate that, man. Definitely dope shout out. Rico, go ahead, bro.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Rico Randall. I'm out of the Tampa Bay, Florida area, from Georgia originally, but um, I've I work in tech. Just a little bit about myself. I work in tech. Been doing that for about 22 years. Started in that through prior service in the Marine Corps. But relationship wise, I've been married twice. Actually, the first time was for 6 years. We had two kids together. I had one, daughter before that. She's 22. And kids, I have my first wife. My daughter's 12, and my son is 11. I got married the second time, and that, you know, I don't know. People, I get different response from people about it. Some people say congratulations. Some people ask me, am I okay? So, second divorce happened. What finalized? It finalized 2 weeks ago, actually, and we were married for 3 years. And we didn't have any kids together, so it was, yeah, it was interesting. The second time around, but we'll get into it though. That's all.
Sure. For sure. Appreciate y'all being here, man. And for everybody, King Midas, 44 years old, got married, and was married for 10 years. Have been divorced now since December 2021, and have gotten remarried as of 3.5 weeks ago. And so the world is a very
Congrats.
different
Yeah,
place now, Shout out to that.
no doubt.
Uh,
No doubt.
and it's definitely been a journey. Appreciate that, fellas. Thank you, thank you. It's
Mhm.
definitely been a journey, and we absolutely gonna get into that. Um, but with that being said, we're gonna just jump right into it, fellas. You know what I'm saying? And let's talk about when you knew it was over. When did you realize? Was there a thing that happened when you were just like, "Oh yeah, this is a wrap"? And anyone can jump in at any time. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be a free flowing conversation, so please feel free.
Yeah, when I knew it was over, bro, when the disrespect became normal. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like when the disrespect, when it became comfortable disrespecting one another, I knew we were on a downward spiral at that point. And like there's only but so much a person can take. Words, they definitely hurt. You say something that hurts a person's feelings, and you can't recover back from that. And I think that once you feel like, yo, like this is the tipping point. If you say one more thing, you say this or you say that, that's it. It's over for you. Like that was pretty much it for me. You feel me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely feel that.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with Will on that one. And to counter Will's statement, mine's was even more. It was a direct situation. I was, how you sometimes get a spotlight shined on you, and it's your turn. Pretty much when you get the ball and it's time for you to go. I pretty much got a position where I was, a temporary position I was put in, to possibly get a promotion and so forth. And then where you expected someone to like be for you, and my ex was kind of biting at my heels, kind of bringing me back. So, when you had your best friend with you, and then, and you assumed that was your best friend, kind of, kind of stabbed you in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Simultaneously, is that, you thinking that your partnership, you're both reaching for the same trophy, and it's just me going for the trophy, and yeah. But outside of that, the disrespect and that one situation, I was like, okay, that's pretty much it. Because we all chasing for financial freedom, and when we can't go together, that's
Yeah,
yeah,
Right, exactly.
that's real. When the goals aren't the same and don't align, you
yeah.
definitely have to
And
wake
when they
up.
did,
Yeah, yeah. Definitely thinking
So
that.
me personally, I felt like it was downhill. I realized we had gotten to that point when I looked up and realized that we were having cyclical arguments. When you keep having the same reoccurring thing as if it's a Sunday television show almost on schedule, then that's a telltale sign. Um, and like some of the red flags, because it kind of like rolls into like red flags where a lot of people will have these rose-colored glasses on and we'll either ignore them or we'll give them passes based on whatever reason. But um, there was a whole lot of that I can definitely recount as I look back at it. But I mean, Dex, you got something you want to throw out?
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up on a theme from what everyone's been sharing, and I can say I'm not unfamiliar with any of these themes, right? But I think if I was to boil it down, simply, I think it got to a point where I realized two things. One, none of the things that we were trying to implement was working in terms of counseling and the spiritual support. Like at the time, we were going, not only did we do couples counseling, but we also went to marriage ministry workshops at the church that we were attending. And you would think, like, if you got those two put in place, if you're, a person of faith, then you should be good. No. And I think what I led to the second thing was that I think
Wait,
it's not.
Dex, your mic's messed up a little bit. I don't know. Your sound got distorted.
Oh, maybe I'm too loud. All right.
Oh, there you go.
You're good. You're back now.
No, you're
you
good.
good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think the second thing that I realized was that I came to a conclusion that we were not capable of providing each other with the things that we needed for a marriage to be sustainable and healthy. And at the time, our son was really young. I think he was barely 2. And at the time, I just didn't see it getting any better. And I began to think about, well, if things were to remain the same as they are now, how is this going to impact him? And at the time, I was like, yeah, this ain't going to be a good look at all. So I made the decision to sever ties at that point.
Okay. Now, did any other man file?
Yeah, I
Or
did.
you did? Okay.
Yep, I initiated. And that was hell.
I can only
Yeah,
imagine.
bruh, that was hell. You know what I'm saying? Because typically women file
Right.
for divorce. So, a man doing that, it was yeah, I can
Who do you
laugh
think?
about
Who
it
do you
now.
think you are?
Word. I can laugh about it now. Like the audacity. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So once I did that, like it was kind of like me versus everybody else.
Mm.
Me on one side, all of her family, her friends, everybody is just like against me. You know what I mean? And then it's all you ain't shit, you ain't, oh, my bad. I don't want to,
No,
can I
you're fine.
curse? Okay.
No, you're fine.
So you ain't shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew at the time, um, like my daughter, she's tiny. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, I got my baby girl here and I'm not going to be a deadbeat. So
Right.
I knew that the next year or two or whatever, I knew it was going to be hell. It didn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? So, it was going to be what it was going to be. And I was ready for the ride.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that's how you kind of felt. It's interesting because I feel like even when I asked that question, like, man, like my parents were divorced. I made a promise to myself as a kid I would never go through divorce, right? Because I just remember what it was like as a kid. And my situation is a little different because I wanted my parents to get divorced after a while because it was just like, this is a waste of time. Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling my mom, like, I was like 11. I was like, come on, mom. Like, this is crazy. And so I promised myself that I would never get in that kind of situation. And the reason I even say that is because when I think back on it, I always knew that there was a problem and that there was like a gap somewhere. But I definitely believed with time things would change. We went to pre-engagement counseling, premarital counseling. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, there's some change here, so I feel like the communication is going to improve. And then there was just certain things, man, that it was just like after a while, I think I was just like, I guess this is it. You know what I'm saying? I guess this is how good it gets. And
Wait, what you mean by that?
I
As
was
good as
ready
it
to
gets.
settle in the marriage. I was
Oh,
I was definitely sitting there like, because at that point I had two kids, girls, younger. My thought was like, am I about to break up, you know what I'm saying, like this family for this? Like, is this really worth it with my two kids? And I'm like, could I live the rest of my life like this? I guess, like, sure, whatever. But like inside deeply, my body like was just like, no, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's part of the reason why we also got into it was because we both were forcing something that didn't exist for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying
mm,
to put that round thing into a square hole, whatever, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you try every which way and it just doesn't work. And so to answer my own question, I mean, yeah, there was definitely specific times where I was like, this is definitely it. But for me, I knew after we had a disagreement over something I had done, something silly, because we didn't get divorced. Like there was no like cheating or infidelity or anything. And I only bring that up because that's everybody's first thought, and no disrespect, because I don't know anybody's story, I'm saying on here like that. But that's always everybody's first thought. So I always just say that to get that out the way. But I had done something. I had lied about something really stupid because I was still very immature in that way, right? Emotionally immature in that way, and lied about something stupid. And I just seen the look on her face like, yeah, I'm done with this. You know what I'm saying? And, that was the end. And it kind of just like went from there. Like things just broke down slowly but surely after that. But not necessarily as slowly. But yeah, it was definitely a crazy time to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But I think what I ended up learning in the long run was so much self discovery. You know what I'm saying? I think I also learned, no, I know for sure that I also learned so much about mental health. I probably learned more about mental health in the last 5 years or so than I ever realized. And I'm somebody who's never been afraid to go to a therapist. My mom brought me to a therapist as a kid because my eighth grade teacher, a black woman, was like, something's wrong with him. He's not acting the same. And this is when my parents was going through a divorce. You know what I'm saying? So my mom brought me to a therapist. So I've always been open to therapy since then and finally had somebody to talk to about something. But for whatever reason, like the last 5, 6 years, it's just this journey has just been completely life changing. You know what I mean? I don't know if any of y'all found out had like similar reactions or similar situations where you feel like you've learned a lot about that as well.
Well,
It's
well, one thing I wanted to say, that's a beautiful thought process that you seek, given as a black boy, given
Yeah, man.
therapy at such a young age. That's a
Hmm.
beautiful thought. But I would say I was in the same space in terms of being a child of divorce myself.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't actually see it as much because my parents divorced at 3. So by the
Okay.
time I was really, what I'm saying, I'd already grasped being in two parent households. It
Got you.
worked for me, but that's nothing I never dreamed for my kids. Of
Yeah.
course, my 4 kids, I hold them all in equal parts of my heart. So that's nothing I wanted for them. So yeah,
Yep.
I would say I probably held on a little bit longer than I should have based off of that,
Mm.
well, some people might call baggage, but that was my heart. So, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I would
I know.
say it probably would have been would have been cut off for 3 or 4 years earlier. But it
Mm.
was a place where, yeah, can I do this? You start, sadly enough, rationalizing with yourself, trying to
Mhm.
negotiate yourself a reason to stay, but you really,
Yeah.
it's not. You really shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of the reasons are for you anyway, typically, when you start doing that.
Typically, it's
Everything
not.
everything
Yeah,
becomes
and
about everything outside of you. And that's
yes,
part of
the
the problem.
financial, the everything,
Yeah.
the support. But I
Yep.
will say, in the past, 3 years since my divorce, it's been, a certain level of peace that um, I've attained, and that's the only problem about dating, creeping back out there. I don't want anyone else to kind of disrupt the current peace that I
The peace.
currently have. So it's gonna take me a minute to really allow another woman to come in, because I love women, but of course they're emotional. They might disturb one's peace. So
At during your marriage though, like were there any periods of time where you did find yourself in peace, even in that situation?
um ironically, I would say yes. Um, but and when I and then it's funny you say that, because it's almost like when you had that certain piece, how some people might, they kind of know you in and out. I don't
Hmm.
want to blame it, but it almost feel like my ex kind of knew when I kind of had a sense of, what I'm saying. So she kind of, let's throw something into the fire and see what happens.
Turned it
Um,
up on you
yeah,
sometimes when you was at
yeah,
B.
and
Okay.
especially at the latter years of the marriage, I know there was a case where, especially because, like I said, I had a temporary promotion where I'm preparing to put myself in a space and trying to really kind of hold on to it, for the life of me, to show improve, buying new suits, trying to put on the big, nice polished look, and at the same time, to find out that, you know the same person that was my best friend was kind of, speaking undercuttling about me. So,
You sleeping with the enemy.
yeah, but
You sleeping with
Low
I
the
key.
hate I
enemy,
hate
Yeah.
bro.
seeing that though.
It's
I
a hard
hate
thing
that.
to say.
Yeah,
I know. I know.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
It's the
Rico,
it's
you
the
were
tr-
asking that question for a reason. Why was you asking him that?
Bruh, um, my mind's always a student of life. So, if somebody's talking about something, I'm like, man, okay, I wonder why. You know,
Yeah.
like the first thing that I thought about with the first question was like, okay, well, I wonder like what made us want to get married. At what point? Because
Hmm.
little girls is different, right? They're kind of like almost groomed, to that with Disney and such
Yeah.
and such, right? They want to go off into the sunset with the prince and all the other good stuff, right? After he slays the dragon. But little boys, like, we just want to fight. We want to fight, and we want to kiss the girl. We don't. At least for me, right? I'm projecting, probably speaking, in general, but this is really, me projecting right now. In my mind, like I wanted to be He-Man. I wanted to be, a superhero and do these things. And to date, Superman ain't got married. You know what I'm saying? None of them got married. They was just like fighting crime, and it's just when me specifically, right? When I decided to get married the first time, I had a lot of shit going on. It wasn't even all good, to be honest. My oldest is 22. I had her when I was she was born when I was on my boot leave from the Marine Corps boot camp. So
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it, bro.
Mhm.
So even like for years, I was throwing thousands of dollars into the court system trying to get legitimized, just issues with her mom. You know, I went through the child support thing that went from a couple of $100 to $1,000 at one point. And I was, I, I almost posted online. I was so happy when they sent me the letter saying I was done with child support. Um, but it was just like so many issues, and to this day, I don't know why. Right? A lot of times we can look at past issues and situations, and
Yeah.
quantify. Okay, well, this is why that's that thing. Maybe it still don't make sense, but you can kind of equate to it. I have no idea why this woman hates me, but thing, thankfully at this point, right? My daughter's 22. We have a great time together. That's my favorite person to hang out with. She come down, we'll go get some drinks together, and she talks to me about stuff because I don't judge her based on what I went through and understanding how life works, right? Because we we're quick to pray for like the bad times to be over, but the bad times make you. Everything that happens to you is forging you into being the person you are right now. Some of us we are that person, or we have a friend in our circle that's like, man, they're so cautious, man. I don't know what I'd do without that person because I would have got if they wasn't, grilling this person I was about to make this deal with. That person got
Yeah.
betrayed at some point. That made them measure twice before they cut once, type shit. So same deal with like relationships. A lot of us we get off, and I don't want to like hog Mike. A lot of us we get off understanding or thinking that you go through the dating phase and you get in a relationship with a person because you want to get to know them. But in all actuality, you get to know them and you get to know yourself. You know, because they're gonna reflect you and your nature and the things you like. You'll find some stuff that annoys you. You're like, man, I did not know that would be a problem for me. Somebody crunching ice with their teeth is like nails on the chalkboard, bro. And I did not know that until I was married. It was so bad,
You
bro.
don't
I
know a
spent
lot of things, do
$500
you?
on one of them soft ice machines.
Wow.
Because it's like I hate this, but I don't want this to be a problem for us. You
Right.
know what I mean? And
Right.
that's like man stuff. We'll tolerate something, and then we're trying to figure out a way to make it work. Because we want it to
Right.
work. We just don't want this thing. I don't want you chewing ice, but you like ice.
Right.
But I'm a
No, that was real. And I appreciate all of that. I think that, man, there's so many layers to the entire process. I love what you said about how you really learn about yourself going through these relationships, right? And I think that's really what it is too. Marriage does pull off the veil and you really figure out and find out the type of person that you really are. Because now somebody else gets to really see you. And that's the part that makes it so vulnerable because this person has seen me, potentially, especially depending on when we got together at my worst, depending on how long we was together, have really seen the ups, the downs, the everything in between. And that can be really difficult to deal with, especially when you start getting criticism, critiques, feedback, call it what you want, about your actions, right? Because this is the first time anyone's ever said this to me. So how do I what do you mean I do this? What do you mean this is an issue? What do you mean? I learned after being married that apparently I sing a lot. I'd just be walking around the house singing sometimes or something, or humming or whatnot. I didn't know that because I just
thing
do what I
song.
do. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because it's like, okay, now there's someone who has a deep dive on you. And at times, depending on what the situation is, they might be right. You know what I'm saying? They might have a point.
So
And
to
that's the
cap
part
off
that,
what you're
at
saying,
least for me, was really difficult to take on, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? It's like I criticize myself enough. This is what I used to say. Like I criticize myself enough. I don't need this from you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm good on this. And
Why
that's
not though?
and that's the problem. That's not okay to say, actually. When you
Yeah,
think
like
about it.
yeah, like why not? If
Right.
you with the
Because
same person,
yeah,
if you with the same person every day,
every
think
day.
about it, bro. If you with the same person every day, why can't they come at you? Why?
Mhm.
What
Respectfully,
what
but they can.
yeah.
They
But
can give you
but
that feedback.
but hold on,
yeah,
but hold on.
respectfully, definitely.
But but hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out for a second.
Okay,
Because you're not perfect.
that's a fact.
Because you do annoying shit.
Yeah,
Because you do.
that's a fact.
My wife annoys the fuck out of me sometimes. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what though? I do the same thing to her. Who
We're human.
who am I? Who am I to get an attitude that she's, like she's getting under my skin? You know what? You know what's ill, bro? Being with my son's mother,
Mm-hmm.
that shit didn't work. It was a whole fiasco, whole shit show. Being with my ex-wife and now my current wife, one thing I learned that's helped me out tremendously in my marriage, but also in life,
What's that?
grace.
Mm-hmm.
Grace.
Yeah.
I'm not holier than thou.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a man, but I'm not perfect. I'm a man. I make mistakes. I'm a leader, but I also need to be led.
Okay.
You need to know when to lead. You need to know when to follow.
That's a fact.
And you are never above the program. Never. One thing that I will say, and this is something that men have an issue with, and you guys can chime in and tell me how you feel about it, but this is what I've deduced it to. When a man is inadequate in himself and if he doesn't have the simple things in place
Mm-hmm.
to take care of himself, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a stable residence, you don't have a career, you're not focused, you're not driven, you don't have a career path. If you don't have a career path, if you don't have a stable residence, and if your finances are not in order,
Mhm.
bro, you'll always have a chip on your shoulder.
Mm.
Always. You can't provide for yourself. You'll never be able to provide for your lady. And women look to men for leadership and counsel at all times. And men get an attitude because they are unable to provide for themselves and they take it out on women. I've done that for years. And it wasn't until I got my act together and I figured out that I am the sum. Everything that I've gone through in my life is because of me. You can't be pointing the fingers. It's not another woman. It's not this, it's not that. It's me. I keep making these stupid decisions that brought me here. So once I took accountability for myself and my own actions, I need to be able to lead myself first. Forget a woman. And you can't distract yourself with vagina because that's what we all do. You to pass the time, you want to dip and dive, and you got women on your heels, they on your coattails, they in your DM, they hitting you, and it's easy to get it. It's easy to get it. But you know what it is? It's a distraction, bro. Because once a woman takes you off your path, she distracts you, it is going to be increasingly hard for you to get back on the straight and narrow. You got to be about business at all times. Because I will say this, no matter what a woman may say, or no matter how she may feel, women always respect leadership. She may not like what you're saying, but women respect men who are driven. Women respect men who are about business. You can have all the attitude you want, but when a man is about business and he has a goal, he has a vision for himself, you can't get in his way. Women have no choice but to fall in line, bro. And
Will, you trying
it's
to blow
only
this
when we
up,
So,
boy?
so
I'm about to
Will,
finish.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
about
go
to
ahead, go
finish.
ahead,
I'm about to
go
finish.
ahead, go ahead.
It's only when men
Yeah,
we feel insecure in ourselves. That shows up in our relationship. It spills over because you're struggling within self. Because you're not good in here. So then like like the ice, right? It gets to you. It gets to you. You like bro, why you breathing like that? Like, why you doing that, man? Like little things get to you because
yeah,
you're not fulfilled in yourself because we got so much weight on our shoulders. You got to take care of kids. You got to take care of the house. You got to take care of your job. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take. We have so much riding on us And a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
made no
men
sense.
don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to deal with that responsibility. We don't know how to juggle that. So it shows up. We express ourselves in different ways that's not conducive to the relationship. That's all I'm saying.
So hold
So
on real quick.
concur.
Hold
I
on real quick.
concur with you
I
saying to
wanted,
some degree, Will,
hold
in
on one
terms
second. How
of a
about, hold on one
woman.
second. I wanted
Okay, good.
Dexter to jump in because I know he's been on mute for a minute and I want to see what his thoughts are real quick. Initial reactions.
Yeah, no, I'm listening and I'm appreciating everything that I'm hearing. And I think to go back to the question that Will
Hmm.
asked as to why not, or like why can't you receive that critique from your woman? And
Hmm.
everything that I'm hearing, I don't disagree with. Wisdom would get us to that point to understand and appreciate everything that Will's saying, because I think that we've all been
For
listening,
sure.
like nodding our heads, like, yeah, that makes sense. But in the moment, without having to, without having learned all that we've learned, it's hard
Hmm.
for us to receive that constructive criticism, right? Because we receive it and hear it and process it as an attack. Because like as King said earlier, when I'm single, I'm doing the things that I'm doing without having anybody on my back complaining about the things that I'm doing. So then when I do get into a relationship, or when I do get married, all of a sudden there's this person here that's now telling me about the things that I've been doing all this time, and you telling me that you got a problem with it. Who are you to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong? I've been doing this. Like, who was you? That's our initial reaction, right? So then what ends up happening is, this is actually making me think about, we'll probably get into this a little bit later. This is making me think about the four horsemen of
Hmm.
the demise to a relationship from the Gottman Institute. So for those of you who are not familiar, the Gottman Institute, headed by Julian John Gottman, American psychologists who've done decades of research on relationships,
Yeah.
and counseling. They've identified four key factors that would essentially lead to the demise of a relationship. And when you are criticizing your partner, when you're being defensive, when you are in contempt, and also when you are stonewalling your partner, if any of that is present and that doesn't get resolved, then it's pretty much a wrap for you. And that's what
Okay.
the data has shown. So we're receiving this feedback from our partner as criticism. We take it personally, we take it as an attack, and now you're in your feelings, and now you get all defensive about it. And then however you respond in that defensiveness, you might withdraw emotionally from that person, or even physically, right? That's where stonewalling comes into play. And then for women, for a lot of women, you withdrawing yourself is going to drive them nuts. Because what do women like to do? They like to talk. They want to connect. They're much more emotional than we are, or emotionally in tune than we are, right? So when you take that opportunity away from them, they're gonna flip on you. Or they might even get to a point where they're like, all right, that's what you want to do. All right, cool. I'm gonna get in my bag also. Then I'm gonna get petty. And then it becomes the petty wars, right? Or the petty games between the two of y'all. And they also focus on what y'all are feeling as opposed to like getting back on track. Slowly but surely, y'all are gonna fall apart. So going back to your question, why can't you receive the critique or the criticism? Well, criticism feels like attack if you are not able to receive it any other kind of way. But to receive critique from your partner in a way that doesn't allow you to get defensive about it. I mean, one, I do believe that it does matter how the thing is being said, because a lot of times I'm a strong believer in, it's not what you say, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, right? So I think that you can critique
Right.
somebody on something or provide a criticism in a very loving way. And I think on your end, it means that you would have to assume best intentions, because if you marry this person, then a part of you must have believed that this person has my best interest at heart. That's what my hope is, right? But we also know that's not always the case. But best case scenario, you marry somebody that has your best interests at heart. So if they do say something to you to correct something about you, then you want to assume best intentions and assume that they're not trying to attack you. They just trying to fix something. Now, yes, it is inevitable that there are some things that you're going to do that's going to annoy them, and vice versa. Some things are probably just not going to change at all. And you also have to realize that if you marry this person, you got to accept them for that, which is why I think that people should take their time in getting to know the person before they marry them. But that might be a whole nother segment, and I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes down to why a lot of people have a hard time receiving critique or feedback from their partners, because it feels like an attack. And I think that there's work that needs to be done around that to make sure that doesn't become a bigger issue.
Agreed completely. Harvell, you were going to say something before. My fault. Go ahead.
Well, in short, and based off what you were saying, it sounds like, and I agree with what Will state. Women do appreciate a man that's tactical, strategic, and disciplined in oneself, and have respect for oneself, and and embodiment of love for oneself. I completely agree with that. But it also, in my thought process of what you were saying, King, it seems like sometimes, when they when your partner might get you at a vulnerable moment or get some vulnerabilities on you, they also utilize that to kind of make you do what you make you do what they want them to do, or put kind of use that as a carrot or a stick, and that's very much true. So those two things embodies both truth in itself, because that both of those things do occur.
Yeah, that's a fact. Man, y'all really touched on a lot of stuff, man. Well, a lot of the reason why I was like jumping out my seat when you was talking is because I was a hit dog hollering. You know what I'm saying? You was touching all the points, and I'm just over here like, man, like that is
It's real,
a
bro.
fact. Like it was very real, because I have to be honest and say, and that's what I was going to actually point out to you, because it wasn't okay for me to not allow criticism, because and when I said I criticize myself enough, that is part of the issue that I didn't recognize at the time, that took the growth, that took what Dex was just talking about in terms of that level of like awareness and honestly life experience. I think you used the word wisdom, actually. Like that level of
Hmm.
wisdom definitely
Hmm.
came with life experiences for me through therapy. And I was more mad at myself. It had nothing to do with her. So even some of the stuff that she would say that would bother me, it bothered me because I was already down on myself. So it's like you're just piling onto that, when in actuality, a lot of times it's just, hey, I need help with this. I've asked you about it. I'm not getting that, or that emotional support or whatnot. I'm not receiving that from you. And I feel like I've communicated it clearly. Meanwhile, in my trauma ridden ears, all I'm hearing is, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. Critique, negative, negative. Not hearing what she actually talking about.
It's like
So now
emotional.
there's frustration that naturally grows from that, right? Because I've been talking to you about this. Nothing is changing. You say you hear me, but nothing is changing with the actions. And we already know who wants to hear I'm sorry a million times, right? And so naturally it causes friction. And it doesn't mean that like I did everything wrong, she did everything right, right? But this is about me being able to own my stuff. And so I feel like for me, once I was able to come into that headspace and really understand what my role was in this whole thing, and honestly, this came after, we had broken up. And we both did a lot of healing. We both did a lot of journaling. I will always give her props for getting me to start reading different books to help me understand like what was going on with me while I was going through therapy. And then I just started reading some other stuff. And we had even apologized to each other. You know what I'm saying? Within, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months throughout the time, like we had apologized to each other randomly, because it's like you understand what role you may have played in certain situations and within the relationship. And for me, what it ended up really showing me was like, wow, we really never should have been together in the first place. We would have made great friends, right? Like we was friends first. We was always cool, and it could have just stayed like that. You know what I'm saying? Our Now I know this, right? Our attachment styles brought us together for real, outside of anything else, and that's a whole other conversation. But there's just so much stuff that's tied to it, and once I took the power for myself, because I realized, Will, everything that you said, it's all about what I have going on. So I am actually in control of everything that is happening. And if there's an issue, I actually have the power to fix it. And it sounds so simple, but it's like I didn't realize that then. But because I was mentally broken, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? And so now in the healthy space, it's funny, my ex and I had a conversation a few months back, and she was talking to me about something regarding with the kids, and she was giving me some honest feedback about like my actions, if you will, for lack of a better word. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna think about that. You know what I'm saying? I hear you. Thank you. She was like, wow. And I was like, what? She was like, I can't believe you took that so well. I was nervous to bring it up to you. And I was like, damn, I'm so sorry. Like that you feel like you couldn't even tell me something, but I was like, but yeah, a lot, I've changed. Obviously. A lot has changed, but I appreciate you recognizing, you know what I'm saying? Like I guess. And
you can't take everything. Hold on, bro. Hold on.
Mhm.
Because while it's top of mind,
Yeah.
you can't take all the responsibility for that. Because I'm gonna tell you, this is a two-way street,
Oh, that's a fact.
right? This is a listen. Of course, right? You want
Yeah.
to you of course as a woman, you want to feel safe and secure knowing that you can bring an issue to me and we
For
can
sure.
discuss it.
Right.
However,
Mm-hmm.
you also need to take accountability for the way that you internalize the things that I say. I'm
Hell yeah.
responsible for what I say. I'm not responsible for how you feel.
Right.
And I'm
Or
gonna
how
and
you
I'm gonna
react.
say and I'm gonna say this, which is it might be a bit controversial, but I'm gonna get my shit off anyway. I'm gonna say it anyway. I feel as though men are way too accommodating to women. Too
100%.
too accommodating to women. Let me
Way
Yeah.
too
tell you,
accommodating.
let me tell you why my marriage now is completely in bliss. Because my wife takes accountability for her actions and the way that she feels.
The
The way
queen.
that she feels. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And that shit took time, bro. Because this is something that men struggle with. I gotta handle my feelings, and then I need to handle yours. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I
That's
need
a
to make
fact.
space for myself.
That's a
I need to
fact.
make space for me. And I need to process things the way I need to process things. I'm on this journey on my own. And
Mhm.
we're walking together, right? The two become one. We're walking together, but I'm on a separate path.
Mhm.
And I need you to walk your path, and I need you to meet me halfway. Too often, men are coddling women and
Absolutely.
holding space for women that they don't hold for us.
Correct.
But
So here
I'm
you want
curious, does that happen because of the society we live in, the culture we live in? Because I
100%.
I
of
definitely
course,
Yeah.
bro.
We got
Of course.
brainwashed.
What listen, let
Bro,
me
like happy wife, happy life.
well
Oh yeah,
That's the worst
I
Oh,
fucking
concur.
thing in the
But I
world,
just
bro.
learned about happy
Because
house,
it
happy
forces you to
spouse.
only focus on their happiness. You
exactly.
forget about your
we're
happiness.
not doing that.
And
Yep.
We're
you
not
just
doing
worried
that.
about them. Oh, if I
Yeah.
just keep this person happy, everything will be. What about
Everything's
you?
gonna be fine.
Yeah.
What about you?
Let me ask y'all a question as men. Let me ask y'all a question, like straight up. Just think about this. Have you ever sat in your thoughts? You wanted to ask your wife something, but you knew if you asked her, it would cause an issue,
Yep.
Nigga,
Yes.
what?
right?
Many
You
Okay,
times.
like
so
to
so
project
hold,
yourself
Yeah.
to
so
Stomach the
right.
other
question.
The
person.
fuck?
So hold on. So hold on. Right. So we all have done that, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna ask you this: what the fuck has that done for you? How has
Nothing
that
but
helped
got me
you?
more pissed off.
Yeah,
Okay then.
nothing.
Just got me
So
more pissed off. Because
so
now I'm
Okay
mad
you
I
then.
can't
you
even talk to you and ask you a question.
so you
Yeah.
avoid the
You
issue
put
because
yourself
you
on
don't
mute.
argue because you already projected and you've avoided
But I,
that.
but
But
I'm
the
your
Right.
issue
but
is
I'm
still
your
inside you though.
but this is what's crazy. I'm your husband.
Right.
I'm your
Yeah.
husband. So you telling me your husband, your best friend, your life partner, I can't ask you a simple question? Come on, bruh. That don't
Well,
make sense. I should be free. I should be free without judgment, without condemnment, without ridicule.
Mhm.
I should be free to ask you whatever I want to ask you because you should know that I'm coming to you from a genuine place. And it's not because think about this. What
I
I'm
used to say that
saying
shit every
is
day.
coming from a place of concern. Why would you look at me as if I'm going to say something to deliberately hurt your feelings? Why would I do that if I'm your husband?
Man, don't you ever think about disrupting that queen's peace, man. You swallow that shit and keep walking, bro.
Yeah.
Ne-
Swallow that shit and keep walking. Drink some
never,
water.
never again, bro. I will never. I
Never,
will
dog.
never.
It does
Never.
nothing positive for you. And then you realize also, I'm not growing because I'm not able to express how I'm feeling. So I'm frustrated about what's going
Yeah,
on.
very
So
much so.
now when there's a fork on in the wrong spot, I'm like, why are these forks always, you know what I'm saying? Oh, some BS.
Good
Something
point.
that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah.
actually addressing the issue so that they can grow. And I'm gonna throw it to you, Harvell. And then why not make a bigger deal of we have bad communication now and we're not even married? Maybe this ain't the look. This it might not be. It might not be. If the communication is suffering so much and we haven't committed ourselves before God, maybe we should really take a step back and be like, I'm not saying it's definite guaranteed. I'm not. But I am saying it's like some of the things we foreshadow, because not every time, but oftentimes when I talk to brothers who's divorced, we have so many of the same talking points. And
Same
most of the
story.
time, we all seen it before it actually, you know what I'm saying? We all had an inkling of something where we either ignored it, we were too young and didn't have the life experience yet. Depending on how we grew up, our examples didn't necessarily. And then, no disrespect to the older generations, but they was, a lot of them brothers didn't even stay in the house to deal with none of the stuff, because a lot of brothers had drinking problems. Other families was doing the happy wife, happy life, or had jobs where they was out coming home, not really even actively in the household for real. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like, we was kind of like leading ourselves, figuring it out for ourselves. We here now. But for the most part, I think we got to be honest and okay with like, yo, maybe this ain't the way. Maybe this ain't the move. But go ahead, Harvell.
Oh man, I was just applauding you. I was being your deacon, Rev. I was
Oh, okay.
I was just saying,
Amen.
amen. That's all.
Yeah,
I
man.
concur with everything you was saying, and in terms of it, and definitely, I know in the society, preached it. I just wanted to hear. I want to hear it from others.
Oh,
I
yeah,
wanted to
man.
get that reaction from you all, and y'all gave me exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Happy house,
definitely
happy
aware
spouse.
of how this culture accommodates one sex
Yeah.
towards the other. And I want, as us being all black men, I really think it's even more slighted for us because in society in which we live, we're called we are taking the pail, taking our shoulders, heavily when we go out of our doors. It says that when we come back, we just want to have that grace, that space, and that peace. And when we don't have it, it's just yeah, it's
Yeah,
something.
man. So
Listen,
how has
bro.
the journey been co-parenting for y'all brothers? Has that been, give me a quick synopsis. You feel like overall it's cool. It's had highs, lows. Like, what do y'all feel like for the most part it's been? And again, you don't have to put your exes out there, nothing crazy or whatever. But we can be
Yeah.
respectful and still have a
Yeah,
conversation.
I'm gonna tell you mine. The first year was hell.
Okay.
Absolute, bro. Listen, the worst. In and out of court, uh, going like anyway.
Yeah.
I knew that this too shall pass. So I was ready for the smoke. I'm at every single court appearance, suited and booted. I got all my paperwork together. Whatever the judge need, whatever he asks for, I got everything furnished. I'm here. You know why? Because I'm an active dad. I'm here. The judge split everything down the middle. She had an attitude. I don't give two shits. You can have attitude all you want, but I'm still here. You understand what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
this is the type of time that I'm on because leaders lead no matter how they feel. I need to lead by example, no matter how this woman behaves. And
Oh, that's a fact.
I knew it was gonna be a rough. I knew it was gonna be a lot of nonsense, but I didn't care, bro. I did not care. The phone calls, the emails, the texts, she was reaching out to my ex, just a whole bunch of nonsense then.
Yeah.
But I knew it was gonna pass.
Hmm.
And then time went on and she started to calm down. And then it blew up again because I decided to move to Atlanta. Pardon me. So I moved to Atlanta, and bro, the first year I'm in New York, I'm flying to New York every single weekend.
Hmm.
Burn, bruh, burning a hole in my pocket because I didn't want my daughter to think that I was abandoning her.
For sure.
So I needed to sacrifice. I didn't care. And then that went on, and then it moved from every weekend to every other weekend to every month. And then now me and her mom, we super cool.
Hmm.
No issues. No issues with nothing, bro. With nothing. You know why? Because I was consistent. Because I didn't budge. Because I didn't budge. I kept showing up. I did what I had to do. Even though I'm in a whole nother state, I'm still here. You can rely on me and you can count on me. Because that's the only thing that women respect. That's the
That's a
only thing
fact.
that women respect. Nothing else. When
Hmm.
you show up and you take care of business, they can't say shit.
Yeah,
Period.
that's a
Say
fact.
whatever you want to say, feel however you want to feel. As long as that man is handling business, you ain't. My motto is this: if you don't want to get shot, don't put yourself in the line of fire.
Mhm. I agree with that.
That's it. That's
I
it. So
agree with that.
that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, co-parenting for me has been a good experience, um, and I'm really I'm really grateful for that because I hear stories all the time, and I'm just like, damn, son, like I'm like I'm glad I don't gotta deal with that. And like when I say I hear the horror stories, like I hear the horror stories, and like social media, obviously, like it broadcasts everything. So like you see situations where um, a father can't even like get the child out the mother's car seat, whatever the case is. Now that becomes a whole fight in the middle of a parking lot, and
Yeah,
you really feel bad for the child because they're witnessing all of this stuff. You know what I mean? And even if they're not of age yet to like talk or anything like that, they feel energy. Babies feel energy too. So like, regardless of the age, if you're exposing your child to a very toxic co-parenting situation, the baby's gonna pick up on a whole lot of things, man. So you really gotta be mindful about that. But I can say that I've been blessed that for the most part, it hasn't been there hasn't been a whole lot of turbulence in our co-parenting. I think of course, like not everything is perfect. There are things that we might disagree on, but
yeah,
the one thing that we are definitely in alignment with is the well-being and the care of my son Elijah. And for the most part, we're on page when it comes to that. Now, come Halloween season, that's a little bit different, but that's that's not even like that big of a
that's
deal.
funny.
But yeah, for the most part, co-parenting has been pretty peaceful over here. Even
I love hearing it.
from the separation up until now, we've been pretty
Yeah.
good. Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
shout out.
How about you? Oh, my bad. Rico, you was gonna jump in? Go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna just say shout out to you, bro. You got like a good situation. Like my first daughter, yeah, it was shit. That shit was horrible, bro. She was trash. Um,
So you dealt
I
with her
don't
for
remember my
21
daughter.
years,
20,
Rico?
yeah, 22.
22
And
years.
even after my daughter graduated, I was still having issues with this woman. You know what I mean? Because she had like her hooks in my daughter and just like making her do stuff. She had got shit to the point where I was just gonna like take a step back. Because a lot of us we have issues. Dads, right, that didn't marry. We have issues because we don't really know the right process, right? We don't
Right.
know that we have to get that kid legitimized. We don't know that we don't have any rights to that kid. You know what I mean? At least in Georgia, where I'm from, if
Hmm.
they're not legitimized, you wasn't married, you don't have any rights. You can't even get them out of school.
I
Mm.
heard that recently about Georgia.
Yeah, yeah. Like I found out because I ended up doing it after her mom got married. Like her mom got married before I got married the first time. you know. And I
Mm.
found out when I was going through the process, he was like, my lawyer was like, yeah, you know, technically, her husband has rights to your daughter. You don't.
Mm.
Like, what the fuck? So I went in and put that money down, bro, and got through that process, you know, because I was just thinking about I just want to be able to see her. I just need to get it in the courts that I have time because me and her we can't agree on the amount of time and when I can get time. So let's let the courts do it. And along that path of trying to get time, I find out I don't even have rights. You know what I mean? So it helps to know what you gotta be, what you're supposed to be doing to get the things you're trying to get out of the system.
Yeah.
But a lot of us we don't know the rules to the game, so we get played and we feel cheated. Um, but it was bigger than that for me and my first situation because, like I said, she was trash. She was doing the most, getting like $1,000 a month child support, and still not letting me see my daughter and stuff. I was driving like I was putting like hundreds of miles on my car. You know, sometimes just going all the way to the house. Like she would complain about car issues. Granted, she bought a new car when the support agreement went up. You know what I
Cool.
mean? So I'm driving. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I just want to see my baby. I would drive all the way to her house, get my daughter, bring her home, and then take her back. All the way. Driving 6.5 hours just to see my daughter playing a volleyball tournament and stuff like that. Just trying to show up and be there. But even outside of that, I wouldn't even get
Mm.
no the news. I wouldn't even get notice of like, hey, there's an award ceremony at the school and there's this going on because I would have been there. But it was just like little stupid stuff like that. And like I say, it even spilled over into like her collegiate, year. She's a senior right now in college. But man, even like breaking out from the holiday, bro, like this was probably like 2 years ago, I believe, maybe last year. And my daughter let me know, like, yeah, I'm at my mom's house. I'm like, cool. I didn't know you was on break, but what you doing, after Christmas? You want to, come down, for the New Year's? Yeah, yeah, sure. Da da da. All right, well, shit. Let your mom know, and till I can meet her in Valdosta, right? Because that's where her
Yeah.
school is. And so she come back like, nah, she can't do it. I'm like, well, why not? You got to take her back anyways. You got to go back to school. They wasn't trying to budge, bro. So I was like, you know what? Just can you take her to Atlanta to the airport? I'll buy the ticket and I'll facilitate getting her back, to school. We couldn't even do that. So at the end of the day, that's all to say that I know we taking a lot of, a lot of it on the chin right now, but sometimes
Fuck all that.
it's like a bad hat of blackjack, bro. It ain't nothing you can fucking do. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
No. Absolutely.
All right, they're just gonna fall wrong. In that situation, it felt wrong for me. My first wife, like I said, I had 3 kids. The first was not married with her, and then my last 2 kids was with my first wife. If I could, I'd have had all of them with her because, actuality, she seems more like a mother to my oldest. Their actual mother is, because they talk about everything, like stuff that she don't even talk to me about. She talked to her, my ex-wife, and they
Mm.
still have a great relationship. So I'm thankful, for that. Helps
You
her
and
with
your
a lot.
ex-wife, y'all are good.
Yeah, me and both my
Both,
exes, we're
both
good.
exes
Well,
are good.
the second one, I'm
Well,
just
yeah. I
giving
mean,
her
that's
space.
fresh. So that's
We don't really have like a reason to talk outside of just like how you doing type shit, but
yeah.
it's fresh. But my first wife, with the kids, yeah, yeah, we own it. We have a great co-parenting situation. Um, in the
So
situation that I had with my oldest daughter's mom, I just kind of
mm,
like gave a lot. I did the most. So it's just like I'm gonna do everything. And so if there's issue, you won't want to have issue because you don't have to do a lot.
right.
All you really got to do is acquiesce to some things that are not gonna be outlandish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got a great situation. My son's got autism, so a lot of times he'll have milestones, and I'll do videos and send pictures and stuff like that.
Mm.
Like he had a field trip today. She sent me a lot of pictures on of him out on his field trip shit. So
That's
we do
nice.
a lot, together, and just dealing with the kids. Even my oldest, she'll kind of like scoop me little information that
Mm.
my daughter probably don't want her to tell me, just so I'm aware. Like, hey, just this is what's going on. But it's just like some people will be very cooperative with you and collaborative with you, and some people are just like you'll never know what the problem is, and they probably don't either. You know what I'm saying? They just feeling what they feeling for whatever fucking reason because we're creatures of
Mm.
habit and we work on patterns.
So
I know.
there was a clear difference then between co between one, your rights from your oldest daughter because y'all were not married versus your rights and relationship with your first ex-wife because you were married, so you automatically have more rights off the rip. And then of course y'all's just natural relationship or whatever, and like where y'all have been able to grow to from here. And the reason I pointed that out, and thank you for sharing that too, is because one of my later episodes, and y'all can let me know if y'all would like to be a part of that, is having a discussion with brothers who have kids who never married and those rights. Also, we're also going to have a conversation just about, do you really love your kids and love the woman if you're not willing to marry her? You know, we'll talk about that in a minute. That's my personal conversation that I've been bringing to different spaces to be a little controversial. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But thank you for pointing out that difference. And Harvell, I know you have 4 kids, so that has to be an interesting dynamic. Right there, because that's a lot of kids to have to check in on as well. What's that experience been like?
Uh,
Co-parenting.
it's been a process.
Okay.
Of course, the initial, separation to divorce, we had our hiccups here and there, and not having clear, direct communication, having emotional communication. And I say that meaning, when we, previously were together, you talk a different way, and now you're officially, back to strangers. You got to talk. You got to have a different, a different level
Yeah.
of respect. You all
Yeah.
understand that. So you had
Mhm.
that situations where you talking with some rights, or I might come off, you know, off a certain way, why are you doing, in which, those things that occur. Now, co-parenting, is well. And yeah, I have 4 kids. One that's, I have a college freshman. I have a senior in high school. I have a eighth grader, and I have a second grader. So they all, in college, high school. So, everybody's communication is different.
Yeah,
Um,
you all different.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, the only one I can't, directly communicate with him directly is my 7-year old, because of course he doesn't have his own, communication device. But outside of that, I can FaceTime him. He has his own, pad, so I FaceTime him and stuff like that. But I'm very much involved in my kid's life, and doing different things in terms of, of course, doing all the things I'm supposed to do as a father. I'm
Right.
never. I continue to be that same steadfast, like to say, like Will say, active dad.
Hmm.
I would never, consider me to be, a weekend father, even though my time is so happen to be on the weekend. I'm here, and I always express that to my kids. When you need me, I'm here. It
Hmm.
was during the pandemic, because we actually had separation. Was that in 2020? So it was like
Hmm.
right during the pandemic. So I went to my mom's house, which is like roughly 3.5 hours away from my kids. So I would come, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, up to get my kids for the weekend, and then go back 3.5 hours back, and then come back up. Sometimes I would drop them off to school, so I would have to do that early in the morning. Travel 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and drop them off at school. Certain holidays, stuff like that. But yeah, co-parenting, I would say, from what you get some metal on it. So if you have your well disciplined, mindset on your kids, and that other person, of course, the other person has to be, have
Yeah.
to, at some point in time, either whether they mature or not, they have to mature to the fact that I'm doing everything for my kids. Whether or not you don't
That's a
like my
fact.
statements, you can get emotional about my statements, but my statements still may be valid. So you
Right.
can just, put your emotions to the side to understand that I'm speaking in effort as the father figure. So,
No,
emotions
that's a fact.
here, there.
And I agree with that. I think it's because what that last part that you spoke about in terms of, so now the communication that we have and the feedback that I might have about either things that you've done or what's going on with the kids or whatever, it may come off differently now because we are not no longer emotionally connected, right? And I think for me, once that emotional connection finally broke, it took a minute for me in terms of like really like yeah, really separating that whole thing. That took me some time, you know what I'm saying? But once that happened, man, things got so much easier because, now we're just getting the job done. And my ex and I did something a little more unique, even though I hear more and more people doing it, because our relationship, really, the pandemic was terrible for everybody. But after we broke up, which to me is the last day that we were together, I consider that when we got divorced because we were done. You know what I'm saying? So that was December 21. And we still lived together though for almost 2 full years after we got divorced. There were just different things going on in our lives at the time. And so we ended up staying in the house. And that's when we did a lot of the healing, like I was telling y'all about, right? Thankfully, it was a large house, right? So I could just move down the hall. Everything was fine. Like there was no issue in terms of like space and whatnot. And it was funny because once we emotionally disconnected, because we didn't tell the kids for the 2 years until like a couple months before we was gonna move out and whatnot. But like once we were able to have that separation, we started doing the co-parenting thing while we were living together still. And it was interesting how that transitioned like that. But it made it to where once we separated, because the divorce process first was very simple. Once she actually like filed or whatever, we had sat down at the kitchen table. I was just like, split everything down the middle, and then we can do a 60-40 split in terms of expenses. With the kids, I'll pay 60, you pay 40, done. And that was pretty much it, dead ass. You know what I'm saying? And she filed the paperwork. It was a very quick process, very seamless. I have no complaints. We paid like $100, or she paid. I don't know how much she paid actually, but I know it was very inexpensive. And the co-parenting thing, we just took that same energy as soon as we moved out right into it. So we do 1 week on, 1 week off, and it has definitely been, for the most part, seamless. And I'm thankful for it. You know what I'm saying? And for me, and I think for her too, right? It's like we were married. We've known each other for 20 years, now 21 years. We've known each other. It's like, I still have respect for you. You're still the mother of my kids. We didn't end on any like crazy level, thankfully. Like, again, there was no like catastrophic, whatever kind of thing, even though it was still, I'd still tell people divorce is a terrible thing and I still don't wish it on nobody, regardless. If you can save your marriage, save it.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But thankfully, we have been able to, for the most part, be good to go. And I think being married, at least for me, I'll say being married made a difference because I feel like I still chose you at one point in my life. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to have a certain level of respect for you. And I think I've been able to like settle there and we communicate effectively and we get the job done and things are good. And so I think that also made it easier for me when I started dating as well, because that was probably one of the first 5 questions that women would ask. Like, what is that relationship like with your baby mom? I have an ex-wife and we're good. Everything's fine. You know what I'm saying? And
Feeling
yes,
like
I
that.
would make the
That's
designation.
definitely
I
the
don't give
first
a damn
question.
what nobody say.
Baby moms.
I'm making the desert motherfucking nation because guess what? I stood up in front of everybody and before God and I signed the paperwork. So yes, okay, there is a difference for me.
Title and
And you know, I met a lot of women who had terrible relationships with their exes. It was pretty sad. And ex-husbands, mind you. I ain't even just talking about like no random, you know what I'm saying? They had some pretty bad situations. So getting back out there and dating, it took me I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It took me a solid 16 months before I was able to even like really entertain. Like I used to think about dating because I'm a hunter, right? Like I'm that's who I am in my core when I'm out there. Like I'm going for it. And anytime I would think about it, I would get sick to my stomach because the idea of like being vulnerable like that again and potentially like falling for, like it made me sick. And I didn't know I was ready until I would think about dating and I didn't get that feeling no more. Then I was like, okay, okay. I remember that. I literally remember when that happened. I was like, okay, okay, we might be getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then I started going out talking to people because that's the other thing too. Nobody talked to me about what it's like to really jump back out there and like, I doubted myself because I've already been in this relationship that hasn't worked for mad long, right? So let's keep it a buck. I haven't been feeling like I've been desired. That's for damn sure by nobody, especially for the last few years. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I'm getting back out there. I'm like, do I still even like I second guess myself in a lot of instances. You know what I'm saying? Until you know you get back on the bike and it's like we good, we back. Oh, okay, it's like riding the
Yeah.
bike. I
Yo,
didn't
King,
forget.
I wanna say something real quick
Please.
before I forget, right? Like top of mind. Yo, Rico. Listen, man, like listening to you and your story about your baby girl. Let me tell you something that I learned, bro. My son is 20 and his mother and we never been married. We never been in a real relationship. We were fucking and she got pregnant. And in that, we tried to make something out of nothing. And it was a extremely tumultuous relationship, ridiculous roller coaster that 20 something year olds go through. And unfortunately, my son bared the brunt of that. And for a long time, I tried to figure out why this woman was moving and maneuvering the way that she was. Pardon me. Why she would do these things, why she would say these things. And I learned, I forgot who it was that I heard from. And some of your story really resonated with me, Rico. And I had to say this, bro. For some people in this world, no matter what you say and no matter what you do, you will always be a villain in their book.
Mm.
And you have to just be okay with that.
Thanks.
They don't care what you do, how you do it, how you contribute, who you are, what you add. It don't matter, bro. You will never matter. Because to them, it's not about it's not about how you show up, it's about how you handle them.
Mm.
And I'm gonna say this, and this made a
Mm.
lot of sense to me. Excuse me. I had to learn this. um, Oftentimes, people they start to feel a disdain for you because the old version of you that they used to be able to control, they can no longer control. So now you're a problem. You feel what I'm saying, Rico?
Yeah.
That old version of you, the one that the one that was malleable, the one that would acquiesce, the one that
Mm.
would get up and drive fucking 7 hours just to see your daughter for 5 minutes.
Mm.
When you decided that you weren't going to go for that shit no more, oh, now it's a problem. When you would bend over backwards to do any and everything for your kid, you okay. But when you decided to stand up for yourself, you like, listen, man, this is a two-way street. I'm not getting that energy back from you. I'm not doing that shit no more. And now when you stop, now all of a sudden you a problem. So I had to learn long time ago, bro. Um, I don't bend for nobody. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what your feelings are towards me. I don't care what your story is. Because guess what? I got one too.
Facts.
We definitely all have
I
one.
got a story too.
Yeah.
Yep.
You feel me? So
Mhm.
I know that because my son has gone through all of these peaks and valleys with his mom and I don't even talk to my son to this day, bro. I haven't talked to him in maybe a year. And I reached out to him constantly, over and over and over and over. Long list of text messages to myself. I just let that shit go. And I'm giving him some space. If and when he wants to come around and have a conversation with me, I'm all for it. But until then, I'm
There you
protecting
go.
my peace, bro. I'm not
Got to
chasing after
protect that
you.
peace, bro.
I'm not
Got
chasing
to.
after you. You bugging. Because
Yep.
all you know is one side of a
Right.
story. That's all you know.
Mhm.
And I can't be mad at you for siding with your mom.
Yep.
Facts.
I'm not gonna be mad at that. You understand? Like I need to allow you to live life and draw your own conclusion. And if and when you decide to be like, you know what? Yo, I want to talk to my dad, man. Like if he comes to that point, I'm here. And
And
I'm
it's gonna
That's a
patient.
fact.
happen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna happen.
And I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. Like I'm cool with that. But I had to, as a man, right? Because my mental health matters. I had to get to a point where I had to realize, like, yo, bro, you got a bunch of other people that rely on you. You got another
Fact.
daughter.
Right.
You have a wife. You got
Right.
you got a business. You got responsibilities. You
Mhm.
have to be okay for you first so that you can be okay for everybody else.
Yep.
You can't let this thing eat you alive. Oftentimes, men, we suffer in silence, bro. We don't say shit for the greater
Man.
good. We don't say nothing. Take it on the chin every day. The way that this woman behaves, you just let it go. You already know. If you took it to the max, you already know what it could be. But for the sake of peace, you just let it go. Whatever narrative she want to say, you just let it go. Just let it be. But yeah, I stopped doing that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I
You know?
stopped. Yeah, I stopped doing that. Yeah. So you can call me whatever you want to call me. You can say whatever you want to say. I don't give two shits. But I know one thing for sure, two things for certain. I sleep very comfortable at night, bro.
Which I
Very
love
comfortable.
hearing, man.
I don't have no regrets about nothing. I don't have no worries about nothing because I know who I am as a person, as a human being first. And I think this is what people fail to realize, especially women. Before I'm a man, I'm a human fucking being.
Mhm.
Real heart, real soul, real emotions, real feelings. So before you label me as a man, I'm a real person.
Right.
If you want to be handled accordingly, watch what you say to me. If you want to be handled with respect, watch what you say to me. Watch how
You
you
demand that
handle me,
respect.
bruh. You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying? And
Yep.
this is how men need to assert themselves so that your lady, like whenever you find her,
Yeah.
so that your lady knows. I need hang on a second. I know this is my man, this is my husband, but you
Hmm.
know what? Let me check in with him, make sure he's okay. He's so busy doing all these things for me. Let me reel it in and let me make sure that he's okay. Like, let me check myself. I'm not excusing bad behavior, bro. Never again.
Never again. No,
That's all
that's
I
so
gotta say.
important to say. I'm glad you said that. No, that's really important to say. And I know Dex was going to jump in about that too, because about what your son's situation. Because I know I was in that with my dad at one point, and I
Hmm.
remember him basically saying the same type of thing, like one day, you know what I'm saying, you'll understand, and you'll be able to have a real conversation when you're grown. And I was like, this nigga don't know what he's talking about. And then I got grown and had kids, and I got married. You know what I'm saying? And I had called him one time and was talking, and I was like, yo, you was right. You know what I'm saying? Because our relationship was not good at that time when he said that shit to me. Our
Yeah,
relationship was not good. I was
yeah,
not really fucking with him like that because he had let me down so much. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Different situation than yours. And I had my mom's perspective, and he had let me down in certain ways, and I just couldn't rationalize it. And he was just like, you won't ever understand. And not to say he didn't still mess up, in so many ways, but it's just, and now at 44, I'm just like, now we laugh about it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's a joke and we just, reminisce. And he has no ill will, of course. He's like, I knew you had to just grow and understand, you know what I'm saying? And now he also is able to say, and it doesn't excuse what I did also. And I'm like,
That's
that's all
dope.
I wanted to
That's
hear, bro.
dope. That's dope. Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
dope.
saying? But that took, it just takes time.
Takes
And that
time, bro.
shit is so frustrating because it's the truth and there's nothing we can do about it. It be
Nope.
taking time.
But it's beautiful that you all had the time to actually mend that, because a lot of
Yeah,
times you don't have that with black
you're
men,
right.
because they look. Our dads is capped out at 65. I lost my dad at 65, so it's a beautiful
Mm.
thing that
I'm sorry to
you
hear that,
had that.
man. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's real. Honestly, that and I had my mother, who both my parents is Jamaican, old school Jamaican, born in 49 and 50. And they're 70. My dad's birthday's today, actually. He's 76 today.
Oh,
Mm,
And my
beautiful.
mom is
that's dope.
77. Yeah, man. Shout out to him. Happy birthday again, Dad. And it was funny, not funny, but like when my first marriage was falling apart, I remember the day some crazy stuff had happened and I was on the phone with my mom that night. And this is a woman who, she held it down for me or whatever. And I remember when I was 27 years old, I went and I talked to her and I was just like, hey, all the stuff that went down back in the day when you used to be married to dad and you was real angry and always like coming for me and like yelling and beating and all that kind of stuff or whatever. Like that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm grown now. I just want to have a conversation about it. She shut that shit down. Not happening. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm the one that stayed. If I didn't sacrifice, we would, you know what I'm saying? Like all the,
Blah,
and I
blah,
just like,
blah.
and I shut back down. I was like, all right, cool. So when the marriage was falling apart, and I remember she called me because she was like, my ex had called her, um, was crying and stuff. And so she called me and I just broke down and she just started apologizing for everything from the past. And I was just sitting there kind of like, I didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And she literally was like, ever since COVID, because this is March 2021, she was like, COVID made her sit down with herself. She lived by herself. She lived with herself for a year and change every single day. She was like, you have a lot of time to think. And she was like, I had to reflect on my life. And I realized that a lot of the things I did, I took out on you and it had nothing to do with you. So I'm over here in the midst of, dealing with the grief of, what's going on in my marriage. Now my mom's apologizing to me. That shit was crazy. But when I tell you this weight
You
just
needed
flew off
that.
my back that I didn't know existed,
You needed that.
I needed that, dog. And I didn't know I needed that. I swear to you, I didn't know. It's not, I wasn't looking for it, but it just happened like that. And 2 years before that, my dad had apologized for all of his stuff. And I was sitting there looking at him and he's sitting there just taking accountability. And this is somebody who has dodged his accountability my whole life, at least at that time. And I'm like, I don't know what's in the water with y'all, but I'm thankful to God for this moment, because I know it's not normal, especially for their age range. It's not normal
Yeah,
for them
that's what
to
I'm thinking.
apologize for
Yeah,
real.
that's
You know
beautiful.
what I'm saying?
That's a beautiful thing, though.
It is.
Yeah, man.
But what you said about with your mother, pandemic definitely had it. Either you were emotionally, going crazy, or you really just sat down with your emotions and analyzed them. I definitely did a bunch of analyzing with my emotions at that time, and just tried to have peace with myself. So that's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah,
I
man.
can't even recount one conversation with my biological.
Mm.
I really identified with my stepdad. He got
Stepdad.
one wrong. It was like, I think it was like 12, 13. They got
Mm.
married. That was my mom's second marriage. Her first husband like passed. But nah, man, my pops is like one of the vivid memories I remember was he would always come into town. He stopped by to see us. Sometimes he'd grab us and take us, to our grandma's house and stuff like that. He came down and visit. And it's one time he was like, yeah, y'all can come, stay the summer. I was like, dope. He was in Virginia and shit. But my mom was cool with it. And I remember packing a bag It's this yellow bag with red trims and a blue side. He had packed that shit, put it next to the door. My mom was crying. She thought she thought he was gonna bring us back. And I'm waiting like fucking Christmas about to come. This nigga never came.
Mm.
You know. And we talked to him a few times here and there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he like this one other time I do, I guess you can call this a conversation, but he told us, he was like, yeah, I remember y'all's birthday. He gave us a date and everything. To this day, I have not even one birthday card from this man. And he was raised about 15 minutes south of my hometown. And that's where he was living. Last time I actually saw him, I used to, my oldest, when I came home from the Marine Corps and I got her, I would take her to his house to see him, right? Well, you weren't in my life and shit like that. I'm not gonna keep your granddaughter from seeing you and you seeing her type shit. And he would give her like these old ass toys and stuff. I'm like, fuck, and it wasn't really like, it wasn't reciprocal. He wasn't really like making efforts to like really move and be, you know what I'm saying, be in place stuff like for the kids. So I was like, nah, you're not gonna do to my daughter what you did to us. So I cut that shit. And the last two, they saw him once because he ran into my mom. She went to a doctor's appointment and she called fucking crying, hysterical and shit. I'm like, what's going on? And she saw him, and this nigga had the nerve to say something about, you got a report for me by the boys. And so I was like, shit, tell him come out of the house. We here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a small town, like tell him pull up. We here. He can see his grandkids and everything. He showed up with his wife and shit. But yeah, I won't go into all that stuff like that. But it was an interesting interaction. I really saw a little bit of what he was. He's very much driven by ego, and some of what he did a lot of was trying to justify certain things and trying to measure up. Because I drive a Model S, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, well, I had this type of car. I'm like, I don't care. Like, what are you telling me this for, bro? But it's weird, bro. Like, I'm not like a religious person like that. My grandmother, his mom was a pastor, right? And like I said, my first stepdad, he was a pastor, so I grew up in the church. I just kind of like grew away from it a little bit, I guess, because of the people. This nigga, he's a pastor, so he's literally talking to people, getting ready to get married, giving people advice on family, but you don't even acknowledge your kids.
Crazy.
Like, me and my twin brother, because I'm an identical twin. And that's an anomaly in itself, right? Like, we was like all the things. We was Beta Club. I was a Beta Club fucking king. You know what I'm saying? We was in all the sports. We lettered in fucking football, baseball, track, wrestling, gymnastics for 12 years. So we was always in the papers. And he knew it, right? And part of it was like, you do things because you're like, all right, he gonna notice, he gonna see me. Boom, boom, boom. We was in the papers and stuff, academics and sports and shit like that. Yeah, he'll hit me up and say, yeah, I saw you in the paper. Boom, boom, boom. Never call. And it's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and close it real quick. But one of my cousins, well, he was married to my cousin. He used to work at this jail in the area, right? And my pops was working there at the time. And he told me, it's like, yeah, I seen the boys in the paper, because he used to talk about us to my pops and say, he's like, yeah, he talk about y'all. He said he be seeing y'all in the paper and stuff. I'm like, really? You know what I'm saying? It was not a word, and my brother, he'll get tight, because he'll like do little shout outs on Facebook and shit for like the other kids and stuff. Oh, happy birthday to just, like, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And we friends on Facebook. Like, we're still friends on Facebook. I unfriended him at one point, but we still friends on Facebook. And nowadays I see him, he'll like some of my posts. I do little posts and stuff like that, working out or otherwise. And he'll like the shit. I'm like, nigga, say something. Like, because for me, I'm like, I'm not reaching no more, because we've been talking a lot about protecting peace and, things that don't serve me. I just don't invite that energy. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have energy for that. So no, that energy is probably not for me. So
Yeah.
I'm open to a conversation, but I'm just not. Even though like somebody was saying there's a weight lift that you didn't know was there. I think you said that, Matt.
Yeah.
But I know it's fucking there. And it fucking
Mhm.
bothers me. It's bothered me for years,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it still
Yeah.
fucking affects me,
Yeah. I
but
can hear it. Yeah.
it isn't worth me, engaging. You know, I'll respond, but I'm just not gonna engage. I'm not taking that from my kids because it'll fuck up all of what I got, and
Yeah.
that's some of what I got is what I have to give. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So no, you won't poison the fucking lemonade for everybody else.
That's a fact.
I agree.
That's a fact, bro.
I do think you should work on healing that part of yourself though.
100%.
Yeah. Outside
You
of anything, yeah, without him. Go ahead.
you know what would help with that, bro?
What's that?
Uh, he's broken. He's a
Mhm.
broken man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one thing you don't know his upbringing. You don't know what
Mhm.
he endured. You don't know what he went through. You don't know about his parents. That's remember earlier in the chat we were and I said the one thing that's helped me in life is the fact that I give people grace.
Yeah.
The fact that he's a broken man. Cause I'm a grown man and I have children and I have a wife. So and especially me being in fitness, talking to people every day, interacting with people every day. People know better, but they don't do better.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the ill shit about human beings. You know that you should be doing something and you just don't do it. For whatever reason, there is a blockage. There's something going on with that man. Something prohibiting him from coming to you and saying to you, "You know what, bro? I dropped the ball. I
Yes.
fucked up." And
Mhm.
I'm saying this to you. I'm not looking for you to forgive me. I'm not
Yeah.
looking for that. I'm not looking for that. But I'm coming to you because we grown men. You're not my son. You are my son, but you know what I'm saying. We're grown men.
Yeah.
So we're having a conversation man to man, eye to eye. I dropped the ball. And I'm gonna tell you about all the things that I was going through, just so you have some insight. I don't want a handout. I'm not looking for you to, kumbaya and shit. But I just need to tell you. I need to get it off my chest, and I just want you to
Right.
know that I did I did what I could with what I knew. And I think about this, and I'm gonna end with this. My mom passed during COVID in 2020, and
Condolences as well.
I appreciate it. So
Mhm.
my mom passed, and I had to handle all her arrangements.
Mhm.
I never dealt with anything like that in my life, right? Never. And my mom passing is the reason why I'm in Atlanta now, because I knew I needed to end that chapter in New York, and I needed to
Yeah.
start something new. And my life has flourished since then, like 50 times fold.
Mhm.
When my mom passed, I saw another side of her um, that I never knew. And I looked at her as a woman instead of her being my mother. And I heard stories from my aunt, from my stepdad. I never met my father. My stepdad raised 7 of us. He never even had any kids, bro. It's a stand-up nigga.
Wow.
Never had no kids, right?
Wow.
So my stepdad told me things about my mom. My mom, her mother passed when my mom was 18. So she's a girl. And one day she just dropped dead. She had a brain aneurysm, done. And it's just my mother and my aunt. It's just the two of them. That's it. And my mother was looking for love because my grandmother's not there. And then my grandfather, he passed after that. So she got married. I got 2 older siblings, she got married to an older dude. She was young. She was looking for guidance. He fucked her over, obviously. She gets married to my dad. She has me, my older brother. My dad, they great together, but my dad was in the streets. My dad, he was doing dirt in the streets. He was getting money. He
Mhm.
was he was doing heroin. Uh, like he was active. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, and now, mind you, she's an adult. She's not an adolescent, but she's in her 20s. You know
Yeah.
how you remember how we were at fucking 26. You
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
you don't know shit at 26. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing at 27. You don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I got to learn a lot about my mother and her mistakes. And she did what she could with what she knew. And I, as
Yeah.
a man, now I had to forgive my mother for a lot of the things that she dropped the ball with. There were a lot of things like I look at we grew up in the projects and I'm like, why are we living like this? And why are other people doing this and we can't do that? We can't experience this. We can't experience that. There are a lot of questions that I had. And you know how old black people are. Do as I say, not as I do. And don't you dare ask me a question.
That's a
Don't
fact.
don't ask no questions. So as a kid, you like, yo, like what's so you like, all right, whatever. And then, as time goes on, there's a lot of shit that's just left unsaid. And you just unsettled with and nobody's gonna answer any questions. And then she passes on. And then after getting to know her and hearing some of the things, some of the shit that she didn't tell me, I said, oh, okay, it makes sense now. I couldn't expect her to make a move. I couldn't expect her to do things. I couldn't expect her to know things if she didn't know. She just
Yeah.
didn't know. And everything she
Yeah.
did, it was based on what she knew at the time.
Yep.
So I had
And
to
that's
let
why
it
I hold
go.
no. Yeah, I have no grudges against my parents either. Same thing. Because once I
Yeah.
realized too, like where they grew up, what life was like culturally, you put all of those things together. You know what I'm saying? It's like your parents, your family, they knew what they knew. They did the best with what they could. You give them that grace and you keep it moving. I think half the time what we also got to learn how to do is give ourselves grace. That's the hardest grace that it's been for me, has been giving myself grace.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at it over the last few years. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still in therapy, dog. Like active.
It's tough, bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I have to. Like I have to stay on this path. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I owed it to myself. Now I can say I owed it to myself because before I used to say I owed it to my kids, but I owe it to myself for real, and then my kids and my family around me. And I'll be honest with y'all, without therapy, I know I wouldn't have been able to be with my wife
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
because therapy brought me out of that dungeon, that chasm, that never-ending pit, that what it felt like. You know what I'm saying? And I because that's when I learned I was depressed and I had like severe depression, severe anxiety. I, shout out to black women. I had a black psychiatrist tell me like, "Oh, sweetheart, you have ADHD." And then she
Mm.
broke it down to me with all the details. And I'm looking at her. This is December 21. So my ex-wife has now left me a few days before this. I'm talking to the psychiatrist and she's talking to me in like the sweetest tone and explaining it to me. And I'm looking at her like she crazy because I'm like, I'm 40, sweetheart. Like I'm 40. You know how, and she was like, I already know what you're going to say. Black people don't get that. Right. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, nah, that's not true. And she broke it all down to me. And that started my journey of mental health, and started taking different medications and stuff to really figure out like what was going on. And when I tell you like answers just start, like I was like, yo, I've been living my life real on hard for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I can't even be mad at nobody about it because nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like being able to now be in a space where I can communicate effectively. I can take criticism. I still express myself, right? And I can still have, and I discussed this in therapy the other day. I don't have to stay monotone in everything that I feel. I can still express myself. I can still, if I'm not feeling something or whatever, what have you. But like I can communicate so much more respectfully and effectively. I actively listen, and I really be like it's us versus the problem versus like you know what I'm saying. And I think that healthy headspace is really what allowed me to not only be able to see my wife, but because when I first heard her talk, because I met her on Clubhouse, when I first heard her talk, I thought she was a liar because I was still kind of bitter. You know what I'm saying? So I thought she was talking that like that feminine energy talk that was going all crazy. You know what I'm saying? And all that, and I was just like, here she go. Yeah, like we got another one because
Stop
I'd
fronting.
also met enough women by that point who had been on some BS, dog, like the lie, like. And so, but when I really, as I continued to work through my stuff, and then I kept listening to her, I was like, yo, I'm drawn to this woman for some reason, and it's driving me crazy. I either got to leave this app or I got to stop listening, like something. So when I eventually approached her, I told her from very early on, like, yo, this is what I'm still dealing with. I'm diagnosed with this. I'm still figuring some stuff out. I'm still going through my therapy journey. I'm still like doing all these things. But if you good with that, then we can see what's going on. And fast forward a year and a few months later, and I'm literally living the kind of life I low key prayed for the last few years of like my first marriage. When I would think like it'll probably never happen. Like I'll never meet a woman who's understanding, not completely self-absorbed, selfish, that takes accountability. You know what I'm saying? Is like responsible for herself and her emotions, has her own peace, and does not require peace to come from me. She has it within herself, just like I have it within myself now. And we just bring our two pieces together. You feel me? Like,
That's freedom, bro.
it is.
That's
I was just
liberation.
talking to. I was just talking to somebody about this earlier today. I don't know, Harvell, if it was you at work or somebody else, but I was just talking, and I was just like, it's so weird now because being in a healthy relationship that I can communicate effectively in, if I think I've realized like I actually have never been in this kind of relationship for real.
Never.
And so I'm figuring it out as I go.
But
You know,
that's a
we
good and
we
bad
we
thing,
can.
though.
It is. It's
Scary.
a little jarring. It's a little
Yeah.
scary. But because I know that I can find community in other healthy marriages, like I know I'm gonna be all right. But it's just kind of like, wow, like there is no underlying tension. There is like
Because
you're actually
because you
saying
you
everything you
because you did
feel.
that from the beginning. That's why I
Yes,
That's
said
true.
that's
and
freedom.
that's why I agreed
You
with you
you
when you
put
said
you
that.
put all your shit on the table.
Yes,
I'm free, bruh. I'm free.
yes, and that freedom is another level because in the marriages I used to feel like a prisoner for real. You know what I'm saying? In so many ways. And so having that freedom now, and to be clear, I felt like a prisoner, and that was my own doing for real. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to live like that. I chose to.
Exactly. Yep.
And once I got to that, I was like, oh shit, there's nobody else to really blame but myself. And so now knowing that I'm in full control, it's like, oh, okay. And finding a woman who is literally just in line with what I'm already doing. Y'all, I got a spotlight over here right now looking at me right now. I didn't set this up. You know who set that up? An amazing woman
Yeah.
who is a
That yeah.
partner who wants to
Yeah.
see me do well
That part.
with this podcast. That's also the
Yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
I'm here. It's crazy because I appreciate that,
That
good brother.
part.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's
Yeah,
like
bro.
so many goals that I had over the years. It's like they're happening now because I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting.
It,
Alignment.
The alignment
yes. That's the
is so
beauty of it.
key.
Yeah.
Alignment, bro. I
Yeah,
don't
man, and
believe
it
in
is a
I
real
don't believe
thing.
in good or bad. I don't believe in good or bad anymore. Either alignment or misalignment.
Yeah,
That's a
That's it.
fact.
100%.
Yeah.
That's it. Either I'm supposed to be here, you supposed to be here, or you're
Mm-hmm.
not. And I ain't
Mm-hmm.
fighting shit. I ain't fighting it.
Yeah.
If it is not fluid, I ain't with it.
And that fluidity is normal, and that fluidity is okay, and you don't have to have
Not
any of the other
perfection,
stuff.
not
Yeah,
perfection,
no, it's not perfection.
not
No.
perfection, because I don't want people to watch this and get it confused, right?
Yeah.
Not perfection, alignment. It means that you are not the problem. The problem is the problem.
Right.
And when you are aligned with somebody who's just like you, they see that the problem is the problem, not
Mm-hmm.
you.
Not you, the
When you
problem.
are with the wrong person, it's always this.
And
Always.
when you say when you get with somebody like you mean like at the same level of growth, right? Not like, oh, they just, yeah, I got you.
Same
Yeah.
level of maturation. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because
think
at the end
about
of
it.
the day, you got to get with somebody that's going, because you're both growing. Like I think you were saying that earlier,
Yeah,
Will,
two
about
different
being on
paths.
your path.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same time, while you're going on your path, you're still growing. You should be growing towards each other, so your paths come closer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're growing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
And that's
I
very true.
want I want look, I want my wife to look at me and be proud of the fact that I'm still growing as a man.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to look at her and be proud of the fact that she is still growing as a woman because she's an individual.
Right.
I'm not looking for I'm not looking for my wife to be perfect because I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
That shit don't exist. But
Mhm.
if she is 89% of everything that I need in a woman, I don't give a fuck about the other 11. I'm good.
That's
The
good to
other
know.
11% that annoys me, the shit that she get
Mm.
under my skin,
Yeah.
sometimes, the little tit for tat, whatever it is, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. Because at the end of the day, and this is something that I had to learn. I love my wife, but I like who she is as a person, bro. I
Yeah,
like her.
man.
And me
Yeah.
liking her is way more important than loving her because love is not enough.
It's
Love
not.
is not enough in a marriage. You need to like the
Say that
person
again.
that you are with, bro. Because when shit hit
Yeah.
the fan and the
Mm-hmm.
two of you are like this, the friendship is what you
Mm-hmm.
always going to fall back on. And I want you to take it like this. This is the way I look at it. If it's your dog, like this is your boy. Y'all been friends with each other for 20 years. Y'all been down for each other for 30 joints. If that's your dog, if the two of you have a miscommunication, you're not going to X him out.
Right.
You're not going to get rid of
You're
him,
gonna work
bro.
it out. You're gonna
You
talk
going to
it out.
put you going to take him out. Listen, if I got to take you outside for 5 minutes, then
Yeah.
we're going to have 5 minutes. But after that, I still love you.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it
You're
out.
not going to throw that away. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
your wife has to be the same way, bro. You got to look at her the same way. In times
Mm-hmm.
of turmoil, we fall back on a friendship. So even
Mm-hmm.
though we may not be loving up on each other right now, I still like you and you're
Right.
still my fucking friend.
Right.
And
You still my dog.
in every single relationship with every woman that I have been with the exception of my wife, none of them have been my friend except for her.
That's
None
dope.
of them. None of them,
That's a
bro.
beautiful thing. Harvell,
You
you was about to
understand?
say something? Oh, my bad, Dex. Go ahead. You was about to say?
No, I was gonna say I think that's the reason why it's important to really understand like why you're getting with somebody in the first place. What I've noticed a lot of times when, and I've actually had to like reflect on this myself, having gone through like my own journey. Like even when I'm counseling couples, there's like two or three questions that always pops in my head. And if they're married, one of them is, why did y'all get married? And when I ask them that question, I just like sit back and I grab my proverbial popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
I just wait to hear the real stuff. Yeah. Because more times than not, unfortunately, the the responses that I hear doesn't imply to me that the reasons are strong enough to keep what they got going on together for the long haul if they don't do something about it. Now, as a therapist, I've been taught to have hope for the situation. And in many cases, I have to have more hope than they do, right? Because I
Yeah.
got to encourage the people. Like, what good is it to meet with somebody that you're seeking counsel from and they just looking at your situation like, yeah, there ain't nothing I can do for you. Like that's demoralizing. Like, what are you seeing that person for in the first place? But even if the situation like sounds crazy to me, I'm like, you know what? It sounds nuts. I'm saying this in my head. I'm like, yo, this sounds nuts, but we're gonna figure something out. So as long as they're committed to the work and they're committed to showing up. But a lot of times when I'm working with couples, I'm like, why did y'all get married? Or if y'all not married yet, what brought y'all two together in the first place? Or what's keeping y'all together? And yes, I do want to hear the responses, but I also ask the question to present them with an opportunity to actually like do the reflection, because I think a lot of times people don't even ask themselves that question. Like you
Mm-hmm.
That's a
find
fact.
a connection you get with
Mm-hmm.
somebody, more times than not, especially like at a young age, you're probably just going for the vibes, right? And next thing
Mm-hmm.
you know, it goes from going for the vibes to 5, 10, 15 years down the line, maybe got some kids in the picture, and none of that was like even planned. You know what I mean? And then now y'all have this commitment, which y'all should be tending to those responsibilities. But then when you think about the relationship that you have with that other person, like what's really keeping y'all together? And this is the reason why I say that, people really got to take their time to get to know somebody before they start taking these other moves or these other actions or these other steps in their lives that is really going to solidify the relationship and is going to propel y'all or going to keep y'all committed for like the next few decades, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
why you really got to be careful. But I'm realizing that the common denominator as to why a lot of these relationships fail, why many of these marriages fail, is because I think from the jump, I don't think people really went about it the right way to set the right foundation to build what they've established. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
think we can get back to the drawing board and talking about ways in which that we can equip people with the right mindsets, the right skills, the right language to use, all these different things to address certain situations as they come up. That I think people will be much more prepared for that, because marriage, and I think that we all can attest to this, the experience has made us realize like, yo, this was nothing that I thought it was going to be.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
This is nothing that I thought it was going to
Mm-hmm.
be. And I'm willing to bet we probably all, y'all could agree with me. I'm willing to bet that all of us in here probably had a moment where we were just like, yo, what did I get myself into?
Facts.
Oh, nigga. What?
Yeah,
What
definitely.
what what you
Yeah.
what you think it was gonna be though?
I thought we were gonna be right. I'm
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing, like, because me personally, like, I always grew up knowing that I was gonna be married one day. Like that was a
Me
given. My
too.
parents have been married now, um, close to 50 years. I believe it'll be 50 years next year.
Oh, shout
That's
out to
Um,
them.
dope.
That's
That's
beautiful.
dope.
yeah, yeah. But here's the other thing, though. Like, we hear the numbers and we're like, yo, that's amazing, right? And we hear this
Mhm.
about other couples as well. But I got to a point where, and maybe this is because I've been divorced and I know the good and I know the bad and I know the ugly.
Mhm.
The numbers don't impress me
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
at all,
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I
because
agree with that.
what I hear about other people and what they've gone through, people are together like 50, 60 years, but they sleeping in separate rooms in the same house. And it's
Yeah.
been like that for like maybe 30 plus years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They might be out in public at the same, family function, the same family event,
Yeah.
whatever the case is, and not everyone knows like the full story as to what's going on. But when they get back home, it's in shambles. Like it's quiet, it's crickets.
Mhm.
Like
They're roommates.
they're
Yeah.
roommates, right?
Yeah,
At
for
best.
sure.
And who knows if they even like each other or if they even like respect each other. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I appreciate the congrats on like when I shared that my parents have been together for like almost 50 years, because I do think it is a great accomplishment. Like it's a milestone for sure. And I
Yeah.
think what it does speak to is their resiliency. And I've seen some pretty bad moments between the two of them in my adult years. I think they did a great job at masking or hiding or keeping away some of the ugly shit that they've been through when I was much younger, right?
Right.
And I commend them for that. But there's some things that as I've gotten older and understood the dark side to marriage that happens sometimes, that it takes place in their marriage too. And then I'm sitting here wondering like, why'd you deal with that? Or like, why did you say something about this? Or why would you do that? You know what I mean? And I start questioning them, like low key judging them for it. And I'm just like, is that really the kind of marriage that I want? It's been 50 years. That's great. I want to be married for 50 plus years, but I'm not sure if I want that or if I want some of these other stories that I'm hearing.
Well, now you
So,
talking.
so the numbers in and of itself don't impress me much. It's the quality of those years that I really want to know about. And again, I think it goes back to the very beginning. Like, what did
Yes.
y'all do to establish a foundation for y'all to have a quality life together? Not to say that y'all not gonna have y'all problems, because problems are inevitable. Life
Right.
be life, and right, and we got no control over that. But even so, how do you insulate yourself, or the both of you, from the bullshit that's bound to come your way at some point in time? So there's a
And
lot
that's
that
what I be congratulating people on for real, because you're absolutely right. The numbers don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was married for 10 years, but if people were to start to break down like how many of them years was happy, like, don't stop asking them type of questions. Now you're getting in my business. You know what I'm saying? And so, and so just being, but honestly, half the time now when people say like they've been together for a long time, I give people props for figuring out whatever system worked for them that kept them together, because for them that made the most sense, and I just leave it there. If I end up finding more details, cool. If not, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. Just because I know anybody, like, now in my mind I'm like, anybody who's been with somebody else next to them for 30, 40 years, like, they have seen a gambit of emotions, life events, and whatnot, and I just give grace and credence for all of those types of things, more than just like, wow, 30 years of happiness and bliss. Like, as a grown man now, I know that that's not what it is. So,
But you know what though, bro?
well, no, hold on real
Because
quick, just because it has
yeah, go ahead.
been, because we're coming up on 2 hours now, and I
Mm,
promised y'all I would only take an hour and a half of y'all time. So I do want to be respectful of y'all brothers
it's going by
and
quick.
y'all time. I do
it's
think
good
we might
convo.
need a part two,
Absolutely.
because
Hmm.
I absolutely have more questions, and we do have to talk about jumping back in and what it was like. Like, for Will, I would love to know what it was like for you to get back out there and, find your wife. Dex, because I met you when you were first going through, like, just starting the process for real. So I remember it was going on for a minute. And that's the other thing people don't recognize too. They'll tell you, like, I've been divorced, like, technically on paper, I've only been divorced like a year and change,
Couple
but I've
years.
been divorced for 4 years, right? Because
Mm.
again, in my mind, when she said it's a wrap, that was the beginning. But when you don't know that, people will hear like they've only been divorced for like 2 minutes. How could they move on so fast? It's like, nigga, you don't know their relationship. You don't
Yeah.
actually
Yo,
don't know when the relationship broke down.
yo, King, it's so funny you say that, and just real quick because I know you
Yeah, yeah,
close.
yeah.
So some of you might have known that I was on a popular YouTube
Yes.
show a few months ago,
With
or
some
was that
balloons or
a
something,
year ago?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
might have been Red. You never know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
about a year ago,
Uh-huh.
and somebody had asked a question like, "How long have you
Yep.
been married?" or
I remember.
"When did you get divorced?" or "How long have you been divorced?" And then I said, "I think yeah, it's been like 2 years at that point in time, maybe a year and a half." And then you heard the pops, and then
Yep.
granted, I knew that was coming, and I'm glad I got popped on. Well, I'm glad the balloons popped on the show because
Yeah, that lineup was him. But go ahead.
yeah, that too, and they couldn't compare to my lady now anyway, so it's all
Facts.
good. But
Mm-hmm.
I read the comments though,
Mm-hmm.
and the clip went viral, like
Yeah.
TikTok, so Instagram, all of that. And I was reading the comments, and mad people was getting at me because they were like, "Yo, he's only been divorced for a year, and he's already on a dating show." I'm just like, "But you don't even know the story
That's
though."
the right.
But
That's the part.
A year?
To Will's point earlier, you just gotta let people like
Yeah.
be
You have
people,
to.
and just to let them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Mel Robbins has this theory of this book out, called the Let Them Theory. Just
Let
let
them.
people do them,
All right.
because I'm not here to argue with millions of people across the world as to like what happened or why I'm even on the show in the first place. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, y'all don't know the
Right.
story. And I said it even on the show. I was like, I'm not gonna get into the
You
details
did.
about what wait, you remember. I said I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get into the details. This ain't the platform
Yeah.
for that. But people gonna run with whatever they run
Mm-hmm.
with though. But that came to mind when you said that, because people don't know the
Mm-hmm.
full story. But yeah.
Yeah. So, just before we sign off, I just wanted to give each of y'all, first of all, brothers, thank y'all so much for joining me and having this conversation. I think y'all opened up a couple of things that I didn't even think we was gonna discuss tonight, and y'all gave me some really good perspective too, and just reinforced some things that I had already been thinking about. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to start this podcast because when I was going through divorce, I've never felt more alone in my life. And when I was Googling resources, because once I got to a place where I was like, well, I always tell people the answers is right in their hands on their phones. Let me actually Google. And when I was trying to Google resources, nothing was popping up. Everything was diverting to women.
Women.
I was like, resources for men for divorce support, women support groups here.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about like, do I need to move out this house? Where can I go? Is there any resources for housing? You know, can I get some more money? Like, I just was looking for anything, nothing. And so I really wanted to at least be able to have this conversation so it's like other brothers will know that they're not by themselves. They're not crazy for how they thinking. It's going to be some married men watching this that's going to be like, I knew I wasn't fucking crazy. I knew I wasn't crazy. Nah, brother, you're not crazy. You're not. You're not crazy. Yeah. So, you know, I do want y'all to have an opportunity, though. If you have any projects, anything going on, please feel free to shout it out. You know, anything that you're working on, any shows. Will, I know you got your show. Dex, I've been seeing the content flowing every day now, so I know what's going on. And Rico, I see that setup over there. And plus, you got your own podcast, so it's a couple things probably happening. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, brothers, you know, please feel free, you know, to share what you have going on. Harvell, I'll let you go first. And again, thank you for coming out, bro.
Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I know we know each other professionally for some odd years.
Yeah.
And I had some discussions with everybody else. I'm gonna be honest with you. Materially, I don't have anything going on right now, but you all have given me a lot of light, and it's some things that I've been working on, and I'm just kind of like going in full on professional and want to do all parenting, and I really haven't put in the space out, but thank you for having me on and having this opportunity and speaking openly with you gentlemen, and just being there for us men to have this space.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Definitely, bro.
No doubt. No doubt. Let me see. King, appreciate you, fellas. Thank you so
Yes,
much. Love the dialogue, man. We got to keep doing things like this on a regular basis, just so we can just get it out.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what? It's also good for women as well, so that they can just have perspective.
That's a fact.
The more information they get from men, the better equipped they can be, to handle day-to-day confrontation. Because I think people look at confrontation as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You should want to confront issues before they balloon and they become much bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as far as me, I have a platform. It's called Fitness Beyond 40, and what I do every day, mainly on TikTok. So I help women who are 30, 35 and over, women struggling with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, perimenopause, menopause. I help women naturally get their body back in alignment through fitness, nutrition, mindset shifting, strength training, all the things. That's it. So, you can find me at Fitness Beyond 40. And I always have things going on. Like I go live every single day, no matter what, no matter where I'm at. Yeah.
I'll be
7
seeing it,
a.m.
bro.
Eastern time. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. I do really well there. Thank God, a lot of people, they tap in. They really love what I do. They support it. So I'm just thankful for that.
That's a fact. Hundreds of thousands of followers. My boy is out here killing it. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Follow that boy. Yeah, man. Go ahead, Dex or Rico.
I can go
Yeah.
first.
Go ahead. Rico.
No, go ahead, Rico. Go ahead, Rico. Go ahead.
Like you were saying, I got a podcast, Dem Tech Folks. Dem stands for Develop Every Mind. The podcast is centered on, sharing different tidbits about how you can get into the industry. Doesn't matter what you're trying to get into. I got a pretty good network, so I've been bringing people on for about 2 years now, even though I haven't published all the episodes. But if you're interested in jumping into tech or moving around in tech, Definitely check it out. Check it out. It's Demtech folks. That's DEMTECHFOLKS.com is where you can find links to all the places you can find the show. And I also do training. So I do a STEM class at a school for neurodivergent kids here in Tampa. And I also do training for professional development, teaching Linux and Kubernetes. Right now, we're trying to move into some automation and some cloud work and maybe some AI at some point. But look me up. You can. We usually have meetings online every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. So
So,
Nice. Appreciate that. Them tech folks. Okay. And Dex, what about you?
Yeah, man. And again, just want to echo the sentiments, man. Just appreciate you, King, for setting this up. Dope conversation, man. I'm looking forward to.
you in mute. Dex.
Oh, wait.
Audio
You
went
went. Your audio went out.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. You back.
how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep. You back now.
Yeah. I was just saying, I appreciate you, man, for setting this up. So I think we might have to do a 5-part series to this, 'cause I don't even know.
We might have to get there.
And I'm down for it. So you just let
Yeah.
me know. You got my number, man. But,
Yes, sir.
and I really appreciate the candid and transparent shares from all the other brothers on the line too. And I just want to encourage y'all, man. Before I close out, one of the things I was able to pick up on was the sense of resiliency from each and every body here, because we've all survived something that I would argue as being traumatic. You know, I think divorce is a very traumatic
100%.
and I think people don't
100%.
understand that. And
Mhm.
I didn't know that until like my therapist had pointed it out. And I was like, y'all can really like put this in the trauma category? Because that was actually the first time I actually heard that I had experienced trauma. And it made sense because one of the things I had learned was that trauma isn't so much what happened to you, it's really so much what's happening inside of you. How are you responding to this?
Ooh.
That is the trauma.
Oh.
And when I heard that, it just totally shifted my perspective. And trauma is really a subjective experience. So when people say that they've been through something traumatic, I don't play with that, especially as a mental health professional.
For
right?
sure. For sure. For sure.
But divorce is definitely it's in that category. And I just want to commend you guys for being able to pull through and survive that, to be able to sit here today and tell your story and to like really bless these other men and other women out here that are listening, because they can really get something from it. So on that note, you know, like I said, I'm really big on mental health. So one of the platforms I've really been pushing as of lately is something called Abundant Life. You know, as a Christian, I certainly believe that, and the word says that, you know, we've been, that Jesus came to give us life and to have it more abundantly. And that's in many different facets of our life, not just money, but more importantly, I think it's more so with peace. And what I would encourage people to do is to protect that peace, kind of like what Will was alluding to earlier. And this is where boundaries is really important. One thing that I tell all my clients is when it comes to boundaries, anybody can get it. And it sounds like a threat, but I think it's a healthy threat to give people. Like, yo, this is my peace. You either rock with me and you respect it. And if you don't, then I'm going to need you to step. Right. And
That's a
when it
fact.
comes to, again, when it comes to your peace and the boundaries that you want to set in place, anybody can get it. So I really want to encourage people with that. So just be on the lookout. Abundant Life. If you hear it often, just think of me. You can follow me on social media, Dr. Dexter Daniel, just Dr. Dexter Daniel, Instagram, TikTok, and I'm really pushing this whole movement about like connecting faith with therapy, because I think the two together really is a game changer. And I know that's something you kind of wanted to get into tonight, King, but we're gonna save that for part 2.
Yes, sir. We definitely will, man. Again, brothers, thank y'all so much. And this is episode 3 of the Married Divorced Dads podcast. And we're signing off. Good night. All right, fellas, y'all did an amazing job, man. For real. And yeah, man. And I promise y'all, I am going to do a part 2 now, because we do have to, first I have to get a soundboard like Rico. And then secondly, I got to get into the other questions and stuff that I had.